and welcome to the Fantasy Football Fix. I am Richard from the Dipsy Dudes, and after another FA Cup weekend and a QPR Spurs double game week, we are back with a huge edition of the Fantasy Football Fix. This is a very significant point in the season as we are now 10 game weeks out from the end of the season, thus beginning the run for the gold, the race for the title. Plus, we have the return of Dear Richard, where we hand over the reins to a fellow Fantasy Premier League manager, and it's an international edition as well. More on that in just a little bit. But right now, let's take a look back at the Game Week 28 Dream Team. It's another big showing from the midfield as it's a 3-5-2 formation, and Spurs bringing in the big points from the double game week. Most notably up top with one of the most popular captain choices for the week, Harry Kane, who left it late to get his 2 goals and full bonus points, but got them nonetheless. After getting nothing in his first game, he ended the week on 15 points. The same as his Spurs teammate Andros Townsend, also getting big sexy points after grabbing his first goal and assist since game weeks 20 and 22 respectively. The final Spurs player to come in was Ryan Mason, who was a nice budget option for the 0.2% of managers that had him. What a waste, with Eriksen just sitting there in so many teams. Alongside them, there was a strong performance from Jordan Henderson, who made it 2 goals in 2 weeks for the 14-point haul. Ashley Young was this week's random Man United Dream Team player after his late goal-scoring man of the match display. Fantasy favourite Mane got in the goals for the first time since game week 24, and up top, Christian Benteke had his biggest points of the season and his first goal since game week 14 in a 12-point display. At the back, Forster kept up his 2-on, 2-off clean sheet form with a 7-point display. Stoke had 2 defenders make the cut after Phil Bardsley got himself an assist, clean sheet and max bonus points, with his teammate Mark Wilson proving to be a great budget option with 8 points. That coming after he'd scored 9 points the previous week. Finally, Kieran Gibbs got himself deuce assists and top bonus points. Right, that was game week 28. Let's get going with the game week 29 players for your consideration. So we have 10 game weeks left until championships and private leagues are decided. So now is the time to be looking forward to make sure that your team is fighting fit for the run-in. But something to consider off in the distance is the FA Cup semi-final weekend on April 18th and 19th, featuring Aston Villa, Arsenal and possibly Liverpool. Why is it important to consider? Because it could result in a double game week for those teams in the future. Now that weekend coincides with game week 33, which sees Villa, Arsenal and Liverpool face QPR, Sunderland and Hull respectively. Now, will those games be moved into a double game week in game week 34, or will they try to move the fixtures into the midweek and just make a longer game week 33? Thing is, as it stands right now, there are Champions League fixtures due in the midweek after the FA Cup semi-finals. So, if Arsenal do something to turn things round against Monaco, will that affect things? All I'm saying is let's keep an eye on those fixtures because they could be subject to change in the near future. In the next 10 game weeks, there are only 2 teams that we know right now that have a double game week, and that is Leicester and Chelsea in game week 34. But if the FA Cup semi-final weekend adds another 6 teams who could have double game weeks, then that could very well decide who wins championships, private leagues, and most importantly, the Dipsy Dudes Divisional Championship. There's a battle for clean sheet supremacy this weekend as West Brom host Stoke. Stoke have had 2 clean sheets in the last 2 game weeks, with some great points coming from some really good budget defensive options. Players like Phil Bardsley, who was in the Dream Team, coming in at 4.9 million and scoring 18 points in his last 2 game weeks. You also have Mark Wilson, another Dream Team player who has had 17 points during the same period. Also in goal you've got Begovic, who's been getting the clean sheets, and he comes in at under 5 million. But here's the thing. Stoke have been strong defensively at home. Away they've had 3 clean sheets in 14 away games this season, 2 of which have come in their last 5 away games at Everton and Leicester respectively. So they're not a surefire as they would be if they were playing at home. Likewise, West Brom have come off a disappointing away result at Aston Villa in the last game week, but at home they've had 3 clean sheets in their last 6 home games. Ideally, looking at these 2 teams' form, let's just hope for a goalless draw. Okay, it's now time for us to continue our new feature, Dear Richard, where we hand over the show to you guys to give your thoughts and opinions on the upcoming game week. This week, it takes an international flair as we play host and hand over the reins to the manager of the team that is currently 28th in the Triple DC, The Dream. All the way from Australia, it's Neel Parmar who sent me this letter. Dear Richard. Say is what happened to West Ham. A lot of managers had Sacco or Jarvis sitting in their team for a while now because of their good reputation, but the fact that the Hammers haven't won in 6 weeks makes me seriously question their worth. Sure, they've had a tough run of matches with Tottenham, United, Southampton, Liverpool and Chelsea in that run, but a 3-1 loss to Crystal Palace is very disappointing and shows perhaps a lack of belief in the dressing room. Stay away from the Hammers as they play Arsenal this week, but use the game as a barometer ahead of an easier schedule going forward. Even though West Brom suffered from a slight dip against Aston Villa in their otherwise excellent defensive form, they are definitely worth a look in the near future. 4 of their next 5 games look like potential clean sheets, considering their 3-match streak prior to the Villa match without conceding. Foster remains the best budget keeper at a tidy 4.7 million, while Dawson and Lescott are the preferred defensive options. Dawson for his budget, Lescott for the greater goal threat. The perfect storm, which is Harry Kane, shows no sign of letting up as his torrential force continues. Following a productive double game week with 2 goals and 15 points, he looks to be the first real test for the Man United defence after a couple of slightly easier fixtures in the league as of late. Following this are matches against 3 of the current bottom 4 with goals more likely, but it baffles me that at 6.2 million he is under 50% ownership despite being second top goal scorer after Costa and Aguero having maximum bonus points in 4 of his last 6 games and having gained more than the standard 2 points in all 6 of those games. The other Spurs players are a bit more unpredictable though, with a different midfielder starting every week. However, Danny Rose seems to have hit a purple patch in defence and looks in good shape to return and score points starting with Man United this weekend. With Liverpool's attack splittering at the moment, with Sturridge scoring the occasional goal and Balotelli not playing a minute since scoring against Spurs, their midfield have been working overtime to great success. Henderson, Coutinho and Sterling have all been living up to their potential with their free-flowing, counter-attacking football returning from last season. Wins against Spurs and Man City within a 4-match win streak makes the upcoming Swansea, Man United and Arsenal games look like points possibilities. Their defence is also vastly improved, with Mignolet unbelievably the most informed keeper in the league at the moment. If City midfielders with their fantastic fixtures are out of your budget, Liverpool looks like the best place to go. The Dipsy Dudes Divisional Championship. There's another change at the top as Latchford again and Internet Cafe Thistle keep trading top spot back and forth. This week Latchford again gets the top spot after a massive 91-point week thanks to Captain Kane with his big 30 points and a strong point scoring midfield from the team that currently sits in 316th place overall. Because Latchford again 316 says I just whooped your ass, and that's the bottom line, because Latchford again said so. Special mention to our highest scoring team of the week, Pathetical Morbid, who came in with a huge 97 points thanks to some usual suspects and a good defensive showing. Finally, I've got a little bit of a personal request. I was speaking with a couple of mates of mine this week and we thought we'd go for an end of the season weekend away. You know, go somewhere, watch a game of football on a Saturday afternoon, go out, a couple of drinks, have a laugh, you know, boys on tour, that kind of thing. And quite honestly, we've been looking at a couple of places, but I thought I'd ask you guys, anyone got any suggestions of a really good town or city to go to for a couple of guys looking to go and watch some football and have a really good night out? I'm open to any class of football as well, whether it be Premier League, League Football, Conference, whatever. All we're looking for is somewhere that's cheap, easy, fun, just looking for a laugh. If you've got any recommendations, please feel free to get in touch because boys want to go on tour here. But that about wraps it up for this game week. Thank you very much for joining us. Remember, if you like what you see, click like, leave us a comment or hit subscribe to ensure that you get the latest Dipsy Dudes videos as soon as they are released. Now we have a social media presence and we have a discussion group. We have a social media presence on Twitter and Facebook and the discussion group at fiso.co.uk. If you would like to be a part of the Dear Richard segment where you get the chance to voice your fantasy Premier League opinions to the masses, then use any of those mediums to get in touch with us. Or you can drop us an email, dipsydudes@gmail.com. That's dipsydudes@gmail.com. You can also use any one of those suggestions as well. If you want to tell me where's a good place to go for a lads weekend to watch some football, good town or city, give me some ideas guys. But until next week, thank you again for watching us. Good luck to all you managers for game week 29. Drinking white wine, the road to the title begins now.